What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me today on a special live stream here. We got our good friend Gavin Newsom, who's going to be broadcasting in just a few minutes, talking about his recovery plan for California. We're going to react to it. So thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you guys. We'll go live in just a minute. We'll talk about it first. Then we'll pull the live stream in and we'll see what Gavin has to say. All right, guys, we'll go live in just a minute. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, guys. 45 seconds left. We're going to get started here. So thank you. Throw your comments in the chat box there. Let's talk about it. Let's rap a little bit about what's happening here, and we'll see what Gavin has to say as soon as he comes on. Thank you guys for being on. And by the way, please hit that like button so YouTube pushes this thing out to everyone online. Hey, what is up, everyone? Good morning and welcome to this special live stream. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for being on here. I appreciate you on this beautiful Monday morning. I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day weekend, whatever you guys did. Happy Mother's Day to all of the awesome moms out there. I know like 75% of my audience is men, but for the women watching, if you're a mom, happy Mother's Day. For your moms and grandmas, happy Mother's Day as well. And good morning. Let's say hello to everyone that is on already, and then we'll talk about what we're doing here. Ray Studios, good morning. Thanks for being on. Appreciate you. Sergio, thanks for being here. Riva, thanks for being here. And Heather Cliff, thanks for being here. So what we're doing today, again, guys, a little special live stream, impromptu, I should say. And what we're going to do is we are going to react to Gavin Newsom's press conference that he's giving today. I'm a little casual here on a Monday with my golf attire. Hope you guys don't mind. And Gavin Newsom is unveiling something called his California Roars Back Plan. Gavin Newsom's $100 billion California comeback plan. This could really be called the $100 billion I'm gonna buy your vote plan. And thanks. Riva says, nice golf shirt. So Gavin's I'm gonna buy your vote plan, and let me show you guys what this looks like right now. This is the live stream. They haven't started yet. As soon as they do, we will jump in there and say hello to them. But California roars back, Governor Newsom's $100 billion California comeback plan. So as you guys already know, Neighborhood Cat Lady says, going to practice my reaction for a second, and that is the throw up there. Yeah, me too. So as you guys know, there's a recall election going on. And, it's pretty clear that what Gavin is doing here is basically trying to do anything he can to save his job. And the one thing that, the left is really good at is handing out free money now, right? I mean, that's the thing to do. If you want to save your job, if you want to get elected, hand out some free cash, baby. That's the way to do it. Let's say hello to more people. So Raphael, hello, brother. Thank you for being on. And it's time to bolt, says, just unleash the people. Just unleash the cash. And Christine says, yes, more spending, just what the people want. Well, that's what people in California, I guess, get excited for. You can buy their vote. This is kind of like bribery. I probably shouldn't say that. Shoot. Is that going to get me demonetized? Who knows? And Heather Cliff says, handing out printed money. Yes, exactly. And I don't have a money. I used to have a dollar signs in here. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to me, that, basically what Gavin Newsom did, if you kind of look at this thing, is he locked down the state for a year. He's oblivious to the fact that everyone's leaving. And now he's going, I closed everything. I put all these small businesses out of business. But now I'm going to give you guys some money, and I'm going to give you back some of these freedoms that I shouldn't have taken in the first place. And by the way, most people fall for this stuff like hook, line, and sinker. And so most people, I will tell you, and I predicted this on one of my last videos about the recall election, is that unfortunately, I think most people are going to forget all about what happened during the last year. Most people are going to just forget about the lockdowns and the draconian measures and the fact that most kids are still in California not in school, which is just craziness to me. And now apparently they are talking about for next year they may not even be in school. They may keep masks going in school. I mean, all this stupidity is just nonsense. And people in California, hey, we're gonna give you $600. We're gonna give you $1,000, and people just fall for it. And by the way, the whole thing with the left is they, once people get used to this free money, then they just got to keep giving more of it, right? Because now they're like, well, you gave us $2,000, you gave us $1,400, you gave us $1,500. We want more. Oh, another $600. Great. And so it never really goes to the root of solving the problem. Now, the thing that I like, and I will tell you, because a lot of people ask me like, hey, well, what's the solution? Well, what I like in some of these other states is, hey, they just happen to be red states. But some of these other states where people are saying, the governors and the leadership is saying, hey, get back to work, right? Like, pandemic's over. It's been over. Like, the statistics show that it's over. Get back to work, right? People are inoculated. Other people who are not inoculated are probably not in danger anyway. Survival rates like 99%, 99.98%. Go, get back to work. That is solving the underlying issue. And this gets back to what we talked about last week on the live stream, which is, this is all about victim mentality. Well, hey, it's not your fault. Let me give you some free money to hold you over. Let me give you some free money to buy your vote, right? And so it is. It's like, okay, so Fred, this is a great comment. I'm going to give you a round of applause here. Thank you so much. And the comment is, if you give people free money, why do they need to work? It's like a drug. The more you give, the more addictive it becomes. Exactly. Right? This is like, I just watched, I think it was last week. Who knows if I can talk about this stuff, but I just watched again, New Jack City was on TV. If you guys have seen that movie, great movie from when I was a kid, great movie. And that's what it is, man. Once you give people that taste and you give them the drugs, they want more. And that's what the left is doing right now in California and in other states like that. So it's pretty crazy to me. By the way, they haven't started the live stream, guys. As soon as they do, we will jump over there and we'll do that. But for now, we're reacting to what's going to happen, and I kind of know what's going to happen, but we want to see what it is anyway. Reva says, make them dependent. That's right. You make them dependent on the free money and the free checks. You got to just keep those going, and then the people just say, hey, why do I need to work? Why do I need to do these things? Why do I need to solve the underlying issues? And the underlying issues in California, guys, are a lot. I mean, we got the homelessness problem. I was just driving around in a part of the city where I've never seen homeless before, and I saw like vans on the street. I saw tents that had popped up in this, $1 million area. And the city and the state is doing nothing about it. We got homelessness. We got the highest taxes in the nation. And so now they're like, oh, let's give some more money back. Let's redistribute that wealth, right? The highest taxes, the highest gas taxes. We're paying more. We're paying more for gas in California than anywhere else. And so if you live in another state and you're laughing at us, that's what's happening. Let's say hello to some more people, guys. Thank you so much for being on. We got Blaine. Good morning. Thank you, Blaine, for being on. I appreciate you. And we got the last Minecraft player. What is the price the Californians will pay for free money? A lot. That's a good question. That is a very good question, right? And the last Minecraft player, I will tell you that California as a state is going to pay a huge price, and they're already paying it. As I mentioned on my last live stream last week, if you saw that one, California, for the first time ever in its history, and once you think about that, ever in its history, had a net decline in population. It's never happened. And it should never happen. I mean, this state is amazing. This should never happen. But because of what's going on here, people are leaving. They're leaving in droves. That would be even higher if we didn't have all the immigration in, right? That number would be higher. I mean, the people, middle class are leaving, upper class are leaving, companies are leaving. It's a disaster. And so the price that Californians are going to pay for this, and you'll hear, by the way, you will hear Gavin say that there's a budget surplus, and so for that reason they're giving out all this free money. Well, the thing with that I want you to understand is, yes, there might be a budget surplus because of all the high taxes and all the revenue and all that stuff, but that's not going to last very long, because as people leave, the tax base shrinks. Then you got to increase taxes to make up for that on the people who are left. Then those people start leaving. It's a downward spiral for the state. And so, that's right. That's right. And neighborhood cat lady, there you go. There's the answer. We're all paying. The Fed is bailing out the failing blue states. And people are moving from the blue states to the red states, by the way, in droves and in mass. And so, what happens when that happens is those states do even worse. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Okay, so let's see if the live stream started yet. I don't think it has. Okay. Let's see. It hasn't started yet. Let's take some more of these comments. So it's time to bolt. It says in LA County, we're at 3 new cases per 100,000. Yeah, three people per 100,000. That is probably, I don't know for sure, but that's probably less than the flu. And so the thing, though, guys, I want to mention is that the left will continue to milk this thing. There's no good. What is that saying? Like there's no good crisis wasted. Let's not waste. Sorry, I'm bumbling. Let's not waste a good crisis. And that's what the left is doing, right? They can keep milking this thing and keep using it and keep fear-mongering to it and keep wearing your masks and, keep getting tested and all this kind of nonsense because the people just fall for it. And, a lot of people. Now, a lot of people are not falling for it and leaving. And that's why you see the net negative population. So let's see. Blaine, I don't know. Let's read this. I don't know how we have a surplus when the train to nowhere is taking all the surplus. Yeah. So Blaine, the reason we have a surplus in the budget is because California collected, every state runs like a business. So you got your inflows, which is all the tax revenue. Then you got your outflows, which is all the expenses and the programs. Well, California's got these ridiculously high taxes, so they collected a bunch of tax money. And they didn't spend all of it, so they have a surplus, and so now they're going to give the surplus back to the people, which in and of itself may not sound that bad, but there's so many problems to address in California. And by the way, they are spending money on them; they're just not doing it in the right way. So they're basically burning all the money that they have, and they're going to run out of it because you got the pension crisis, which I talked about on my last video. If you didn't check that out. And then you have every other crisis, including people leaving. So what Blaine said right here, again, people are leaving and the tax base is going to shrink. And so that's what's going to happen. Yeah, don't forget about the $1 billion mask gate for sure. Anthony, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, my man. I sure hope Uncle Gavin lets us celebrate our freedom in July. Maybe. We'll see. So this is just crazy to me, that Gavin, he took away all these freedoms and then he's starting to give them back, and people are excited about that. Yeah, that's right. Neighborhood cat lady, California is not counting non-funded liabilities. That is correct. That is correct. They have a bunch of non-funded liabilities, including the pension stuff that I talked about, which is a huge, in the billions of dollars, liabilities that they are not funding. And that's going to cause huge issues for a lot of municipalities. It's going to cause a lot of cities to go into bankruptcy for sure. So by the way, guys, the live stream has not started, just so you know, I'm not just rambling. Here it is. They are still getting ready. So as soon as that happens, we will jump over there and we'll see what Gavin has to say. So it's going to be a lot of fun seeing all of the nonsense that Gavin spews about how great he is. And ultimately, to me, guys, this is really just a way of buying the vote. Hey, Gavin's not the guy that shut us down. Gavin's the guy that gave out $100 billion, right? And that's how he's trying to position himself. Now, the recall election, I will say, is going very interestingly. I think in the last small poll that they had, I believe John Cox was up. We talked about him a lot on the last live stream. He's the not so exciting guy who rebranded himself as the Beast and is trying to now finally take down Newsom. And then we got all kinds of other interesting candidates. We got Caitlyn Jenner. We got Meet Kevin of YouTube fame. We got, maybe who'll run. I still don't think he will. We got Falconer, who was the mayor of San Diego. We got Major Williams, who's a conservative candidate. By the way, interestingly, no Democrats yet. No Democrats. And the reason why, if you're wondering, is because if a Democrat runs, basically the Democratic Party would crucify that person because they'll think that they're going against Gavin and going against Pelosi and the machine that is California Democratic politics. The pandering, the social programs, all that kind of stuff. Reva says Caitlyn is crushing it. Yeah, she is actually. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but her campaign video is good. I liked it. There's a lot of good points in there. I mean, everyone on the right over here is basically running on a similar platform. Let's minimize taxes and let's bring the state back. The problem, you guys, is that even if someone wins and becomes governor and takes Gavin's spot, everything else up and down the line in California is all so left that it's a big problem. I don't know if a Republican governor is going to be able to get anything passed. Actually, that's a great question. What do you guys think? Do you think that, if a Republican wins or if a conservative wins the recall election, that they are going to be able to actually make any changes and get anything passed? I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Let's see. It's time to bolt says, oh, this is a fun topic. We can talk about this while we're waiting. Washington governor just signed a bill making, here we go. They're about to start teaching critical race theory mandatory in public schools. That is outrageous. A lot of states are banning that, including Texas, Florida, all the states you'd expect. So I think Gavin is about to start. Let's just check it out. Okay, someone's just introducing him, so we won't go over there yet. I'll give you guys my quick take on this critical race theory teaching in school stuff. We talked about it a lot on the last live. I think it's outrageous. We should not be teaching our kids what to think. These are divisive things that are opinions that change history. It's madness. And so we need to get rid of that. And a lot of states, Trump was doing that. A lot of states like Florida and Texas and others are banning teaching those kinds of things in school. And that should be the case. And I will tell you, if you're a parent, be very vigilant and be careful and watch what your school is teaching your kids. Because otherwise, the brainwashing and the indoctrination starts early. All right, let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what they have to say.
Gracias, Carelli. Buenos dias, everyone.
Oh, no, it's not.
My name's Chris Iglesias.
I thought it was Gavin, but
it's not yet. Chief Executive Officer of the Unity Council. Thank you for those remarks.
Okay, let's go back since that's not happening yet. Okay, so Tony says, no one likes Jenner. Conservatives won't vote for her because she's an anti-Trump. Liberals won't vote for her because she's a Republican. Falconer's a better candidate. Yeah, so, and I'm sorry I called you Tony when it's Tommy. So Tommy, I think Jenner's fighting an uphill battle. She really is. I will tell you, I think Republicans are a very, very, very inclusive group, regardless of what the mainstream media will tell you. I've been to plenty of conservative rallies where, there's every race, every gender, it doesn't matter. For the most part, I think, conservatives are very inclusive. But I do think, Jenner has a real issue with kind of, who is that voter that's gonna vote for Jenner? I actually personally, people have asked me. I really do like John Cox for one reason. He built a successful business and he's run it for 40 years. He hasn't run it with state funds. He hasn't run it at a deficit. He's made a profit, and he knows how to run a business. And personally, I think the best people to hold elected office are people who were in business and then go over to public office. Because if you know how to run a business, you can run a state, you can run a city, you can run a government. These career politicians, to me, like our current president, they just don't have any real world experience to do this stuff. Everything to them is theoretical. Everything is up in the sky and how it should be, and ideological and stuff like that, right? So there you go. Heather Cliff, yeah, I agree. Cox, that's why I like him. I know he's not the most exciting guy. I know when he talks, you might fall asleep. But, he hired this PR firm that's rebranded him The Beast, and he's got a bear on stage and all that stuff. So maybe it'll work. Who knows? All right, let's see if, no, still no Gavin. The parade of introductions is happening. Let's check in and see what they're talking about. Let's check in.
Mi nombre es Libby Schaff, soy la alcaldesa de esta ciudad bonita.
Okay, so there's still the parade of introductions, and the way that these introductions go, guys, is they find some people that are going to sing Gavin's praises, and they put them up on stage, and they all say how great Gavin is, and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so I'm just checking to see. Yep, still there. Okay, so we were talking about John Cox. Yeah, so I really do like John Cox for that reason, that he's a self-made man. He's a business guy. He knows how to run a business. I mean, those people make, for the most part, good politicians, because if you can run a business, you can run a state. States are run totally differently. They don't care about expenses. They just spend all the money they want and then figure out how they're going to tax people, the blue states, to get it. That's not the right way to run a state, not the right way to run a city, a country, or a business. You could never get away with that in business because you would be out of business. You would be bankrupt. But on the state level, there's always another tax you can pass. There's always another, something that you can do to get more revenue because, the people are just there. So, and this plan that we're about to hear is basically going to be, we're going to buy your vote. But let's see, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to hear how Gavin lays this out. I at this point can kind of guess, he's going to talk about equity, of course. We can count the number of times he says equity in his speeches. He's going to talk about how he's roaring California back, and he's giving all this money away, and how he's the savior of the state, and all of that kind of stuff. So we will see what happens, but they're still introducing Gavin. Let's go back real quick, guys, to the topic of the schools, because I that is very, very on my mind. With I have 3 younger children in school, and this stuff with the divisive teaching, the indoctrination of the kids, is something that I am really, really on top of. And if you have kids, you should be too. And my message to you, or if you know people with kids, be very careful and make sure you take a look at their curriculum. I was never that parent, by the way. Like, I was never the parent to check on the curriculum, to read it, to look through it, to contact the school. My thought was always like, hey, I'm sending my kids to a nice school, and I'm just going to let them take care of it. I'm going to let them, I trust them to do a good job. But now what's happening is that, they're teaching them all this divisive nonsense like critical race theory and all these things in schools like in California, and they're pushing it down their throats, and they're indoctrinating the kids. And it's a really bad thing. And so just be careful. Make sure you understand. We have a question that I'll cover. Julius, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being on. Round of applause for you, my friend. Question is thoughts on Meet Kevin for governor. Yeah, so haven't talked about it too much, actually. I've mentioned it. Meet Kevin is a YouTuber, finance YouTuber, cool channel. I watch his channel on occasion, covers stocks and investing mostly. And he has talked about running for governor. Now, Julius, I don't know if he's actually officially said I'm running. I've seen some videos where he talks about it. My thought is, I was about to go to the live stream, but another guy to introduce Gavin. I mean, they just like parade these people out and they all talk about how great he is. Anyway, let's keep going until Gavin actually comes out because these people are usually pretty boring. So Julius and everyone else. So meet Kevin. Meet Kevin. Here's the thing. Here's the problem. He's a middle of the road guy, right? So he doesn't usually take a position on stuff. He doesn't take a side, and he does that on purpose because he wants to appeal to everyone on YouTube. And I get it. The problem is if you run, if he announces that he's running, first of all, he's going to have to pick a party. An independent candidate is not going to win in California. Guys, thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for all the thumbs up here. I appreciate you guys. That'll push the video out to more people. And I see a lot more coming on right now. So thank you and welcome to the show. We're just chatting until Gavin comes out because I have no interest in seeing the parade of introductions. You probably don't either. So anyhow, we're talking to meet Kevin, and his run for governor. Julius posted this question, so we're answering it. And so anyway, the issue is that Kevin's going to have to pick a political party, and he's talked about that. I watched one video where he was asking about it. And so when you pick a party, by definition, he's going to kind of alienate the other party. And also in California, you're going to have to be very polarizing to have a chance at winning. If you take the middle of the road and try to please everyone, you're basically going to please no one. And so that's the challenge I think Meet Kevin will have as a YouTuber, unless he decides that he's okay losing, half or a big portion of the people that probably watch him. Or maybe the people that watch him already agree with everything he says, and that might be okay. We have a couple comments on this. So Matthew says, meet Kevin for governor. He said he might run as a Democrat, but be super moderate, if not Republican, in his actions. And then you also said he did a poll on it. It would be cool if he ran Democrat because he probably would win because a lot of Republicans know he's on our side. But Matthew, the problem is, and thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you. The challenge that he'll have if he does that. So if he announces that he's a Democrat, you need the support of the Democratic Party. Maybe not in the recall election. The Democratic Party is not going to support his positions. I've seen his positions. They're very conservative in most cases. They're common sense. They're real world. They're what they should be. And the problem is, of course, that the machine in California is not going to support those because they don't want those. They want the people dependent on the government. They want you to continue to want these stimulus checks that Gavin's going to talk about in just a second if he ever comes out. And so that really is the issue. Heather Cliff, we're going back to schools. So diversity, equity, and inclusiveness based on race is being taught at Burbank schools now. The melting pot term is now considered offensive. Really? The melting pot is considered offensive? Who was offended by that? That's weird. I wonder. But everyone's offended by everything. Yeah, so what's crazy about this school stuff, you guys, sorry to keep going back and forth, but I think these are good topics to talk about on the channel. The issue I have with this stuff is it's all so fabricated, I mean, listen, I know that I didn't go to school recently. I mean, it's been a while, but I went to a very diverse school. We had all races. We had all kinds of people. And we never even thought of race, in that way. We if you're cool and you're a good dude, like we were friends with you. No one thought of it this way. I believe, and maybe this is optimistic, is Gavin coming out? No, still no. Wow, another introduction. Jeez. Okay, so anyway, we didn't think of people based on their race. If you were cool and we wanted to hang out with you, we hung out. Like, it didn't matter. I played sports. I played football and basketball and all these things, and we all hung out. It was never an issue. And now the mainstream media, people like Gavin Newsom, the Democratic Party, have made it an issue. They've made it an issue. And look, like I've said before, are there people who are racist in the country? Sure, I'm sure there are. But to make everything about this is absurd, and it just kids do not need to be subjected to this stuff. Riva with a super chat. Thank you so much. Let me play the super chat music.
Super chat.
Reva, thank you so much for the super chat. I think I have another one here somewhere. Where's my other? Here it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat, Reva. Appreciate that. And Matthew says, so true. Yeah. So like, even my kids, I mean, like I noticed it in this last semester of school that, all of these assignments started being about race, and they're asking kids, how do you identify, and what do you think about your classmates who are a different color? And it's like, dude, people in kindergarten do not think of these things. Why are you even introducing this? And that's the problem. That's what really irks me, is that this makes no sense what they're doing in schools, and so that needs to stop, and it needs to stop like immediately. So anyhow, let's see what else we got. Blaine said political theater for Gavin. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you guys. Like, this is what's going on, one after another. Let's drop in and see what they're saying.
Money to support the many Californians who've been hurt during this pandemic. And we have already given out our first Golden State stimulus. And so our I-10 filers, our low-income essential workers,
Okay, so you see, guys, it's all the same stuff. And like I said earlier in the broadcast here, thank you guys for being on, for those of you who started and those of you who are joining me now, that they're just going to keep milking this thing. I mean, the red state governors, Ron DeSantis, who I really like, I think Kristi Noem, who I also really like, or Noem, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. This past week, they've both said, get your butt back to work. The pandemic's over. Get back to work. But in California, we're just going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it because we want you to stay dependent on the government. We want you to stay afraid. We want you to keep wearing your mask and all of this kind of stuff. It's just outrageous. Neighborhood cat lady, yes, you can. You can throw up all you want now. Well, it's going to only get worse, though. If you start now, it's only going to get worse. And then Blaine said, yeah, the true problem is critical race theory. Yeah, it's just divisive nonsense. And by the way, guys, I never take anyone's word for stuff if they're giving me their opinion. For the most part, I do, the people I trust. But if something's in the mainstream media, I wanna read about it, right? And so what I did is I went and I read the curriculum. And so I went to the kids' school and I'm like, hey, I want to see the curriculum. And I read it and I went and researched it. And it's such garbage. I mean, it is such garbage. It's pure nonsense. We're trying to get people to hang out with people or appreciate people for who they are. And this is actually introducing things like race and color and all that kind of stuff into the conversation when it doesn't need to be there. Matthew, that's exactly how I view it. It's just garbage. And so, these other states, they're banning it. They're getting rid of it. They're also telling people to get back to work. I mean, those are the things that I think, we should be doing instead of doing something like this by giving out free money, right? So look at this. This lady's still talking about this.
Let me introduce.
She's probably vaccinated and she's still wearing a mask while she's talking. Oh, let's see if Newsom's coming up finally. Whoa, hey, here we go. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Privilege and opportunity to be here. Corelli, thank you very much for opening up your home of sorts. And Chris, honored to finally be here with you. And to the mayor, I'll brag on Mayor Schaaf in a moment. It's a pleasure to be back with you here. And of course, with our two chairs, respective budget committees in the Senate and the Assembly, I want to just acknowledge and thank Assemblymember Ting and Senator Skinner for their incredible leadership, stewardship, support over the course of the last number of years, but more importantly, over the course of the last number of months, as this state has been very deliberative, very intentional in moving very focused way to address some of the most systemic and challenging issues in this state, not waiting for traditional calendars to provide that direct relief and support across a spectrum of issues. That sense of urgency has been demonstrable. This partnership with the Assembly and the Senate has been second to none, and I'm incredibly grateful to both of you for your incredible leadership. I'm about to make an announcement no other governor in California history has ever made, and I would argue no governor in American history has ever made. Today, we're announcing a $75.7 billion budget surplus. I'll repeat that because only 3 people apparently heard it. This time last year, we announced a $54.3 billion projected shortfall. Today, we are announcing a projected $75.7 billion budget surplus. It's a remarkable turnaround. We talked about California coming back. I made the point at the State of the State a number of months ago, California is not coming back.
JG,
California
nice
is going to come roaring back. $75.7 billion operating budget surplus. An additional $26 billion will be coming from the federal government. We are now in a position to roll out a $100+ billion comeback plan in the state of California. And the first announcement in that plan we're announcing today, and that's immediate relief to millions and millions of taxpayers, millions and millions of Californians. Today, we're announcing $12 billion tax rebate to the people of the state of California earning up to $75,000. Let me put that in perspective. That tax rebate will impact just shy of 80% of all tax filers will get a direct stimulus check, will get a direct relief payment because of this announcement. 2/3 of all Californians will benefit from this stimulus. That's roughly $12 billion, let me be specific, $11.9 billion when you add, as Senator Skinner said, to the stimulus.
Yeah, there you go, JG, exactly. That's what he's doing. It's just let's buy your vote, right?
I want to make this clear, and I make this with respect that is due. This is a proposal from the administration. It requires concurrence and support of the legislature, and that's why it's humbling and very meaningful to have the 2 budget chairs here today. I'm by no means naive about the deliberative process as we roll out.
Yeah, Anthony, not so much. He's not cutting taxes.
We roll out.
He's raising taxes, man, so he can distribute that stuff.
The importance of that give and take with the legislature. But I'm mindful that our values are aligned, and that's been demonstrable over the course of the last number of months with the early action that we've taken. So $12 billion in direct tax rebate. That's the largest year-over-year tax rebate that's ever been provided in any state in American history.
Yeah, that's right, Jade.
Number 2,
we'll just give it all away.
We're very mindful that that stimulus alone of $600, $500 for families with children and those I-10 filers is not enough to address the stress, the anxiety over the course of the last year plus in this pandemic-induced recession. And that's why today we'll be announcing our desire, our plan to double the rental assistance in the state of California with the goal of getting 100% of all the back rent paid and provide 100% support over the next few months to renters that have been directly impacted by this pandemic. $5.2 billion we're putting up to take care of rent payments. In addition to the $5.2 billion, this builds on the $2.6 we announced a number of months ago, additional $2.6, $5.2 billion, in addition to paying off 100% of that rent going back to last April and moving forward over the course of the next number of months. We're also mindful rent is just one part of the burden of households. Issues of gas, electricity, and water are real. So today we're announcing $2 billion of direct relief to pay down utility expenses, to pay off water, gas, and electricity needs. $1 billion of that $2 billion specifically we're proposing to be set aside to address the issue of water in this state. So this is not an insignificant announcement. It's unprecedented, as I say, in California history, but that's rhetoric, and that often gets lost.
No, Jade, he's not going to pay property taxes. Those are homeowners. He doesn't care about those people.
That direct relief, that's meaningful.
You got money.
Direct
you home.
renter relief at 100%, not the 80% is our proposal, and we would allow for that 100% to be retroactive to cover those that have already received the 80% assistance, and providing $2 billion for gas and electricity and for water, we think is a significant direct, not only stimulus, but direct relief to millions and millions of Californians in need. And this is just the first of many announcements this week across the spectrum that amplify the narrative of this state truly roaring back. I want to just close, make a few subsequent points to what the Senator was referring to a moment ago as well. This is all on the basis of the recovery that California is already experiencing. It's on the basis of the revenue that's coming in historic terms in the state of California. And that's because we are defeating and we are successfully applying strategies to address this pandemic. And as Senator Skinner rightfully said, our case rate and our positivity rate are among the lowest in the United States of America. In fact, today, the 7-day rate came in at just 1.0%. That's the lowest 7-day case rate, or rather positivity rate, since the beginning of this pandemic. And put that in perspective. Some have suggested, well, we're not testing like we did. That's not necessarily the case. 223,000 tests came in yesterday, 1,337 individuals tested positive for COVID. Accordingly, the Senator was right, California continues to make progress on vaccinations. Just shy of 32.5 million doses have been administered to Californians. Just shy of 62% of all Californians have received at least one dose. Eligible Californians, 16 and over.
Hey, Blaine, that's for sure, but those would be like real solutions to solving the problem. That wouldn't be just giving
the available supply that's been set aside for the state of California, 2,076,000 doses to be exact.
JD probably
while there
is.
has been a decline in people that have looked to access the vaccine, it's not as precipitous as many other states, but we are mindful it's a decline nonetheless. And I reinforce this in closing before we open it up to questions to make this point. One has to do with the other. That California's economic success, our economic recovery, is predicated on ending this pandemic. And we need to be mindful that this disease is not didn't take Mother's Day off, and it's not taking the summer off. It's as deadly as it's ever been. And we are mindful that the mutations are as challenging as they've ever been. We are monitoring well over just shy of a dozen mutations in this state. And that's why it's important to remind each and every one of you.
They're going to keep talking about
potency.
They're going to keep talking about coronavirus because then they just keep scaring people. I mean, it's just going to continue. They're going to keep talking about it.
To continue as robustly as it's began, we need to continue our vaccine program. We need to continue to be vigilant and mindful of mask wearing and social distancing until this disease is behind us once and for all. 275,000 jobs have been created in the last 2 months in the state of California. 41% of America's jobs came out of the state of California in February. California is not just back. California is roaring back. And I want to thank every member, this remarkable place we call home, every member of our extraordinary community.
I wonder if someone's going to ask him about the population decline. I wonder if there's going to be a real reporter in the mix.
For your determination and for your commitment, not only to yourselves and your loved ones, but the broader community, because everything we just announced is because of the people of the state of California, their hard work, and that's demonstrable.
Jade, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt he will step down.
With that, we're here, of course.
Let's see if we get a good question. Come on.
Hey, Governor, Jeremy with Politico. Thanks for taking our questions. I'm going to do every other reporter's favorite thing and ask you a two-part question. So first piece is there's no shortage of proposals for Democrats in the legislature for ways to spend this windfall, everything from more coverage for undocumented immigrants to more wildfire preparedness. So why open with this proposal of direct payments? And then, as you well know, some statutory language having to do with distance learning is up for either renewal or expiration soon. Do you support continuing the allowance for distance learning next year, or do you think it's time to move on?
On June 30th at midnight, I anticipate that will lapse, and everybody should be back in the fall and in-person instruction safely. In fact, our budget will reflect even more support than the previous support that has been provided for health and safety. And I look forward to working closely and collaboratively with the legislature to advance those budget proposals as well. As I noted just a moment ago, this is one of a series of announcements we'll be making this week. We're honored and pleased to be here in the backyard of the two budget chairs to make this important announcement of direct relief and this large tax rebate, the largest in U.S. history year over year, because we believe people are better suited than we are to make determinations for themselves of how best to use these dollars. And that's why we want to get money into people's pockets as quickly as possible, and we want folks to know that these resources are coming. Accordingly, we recognize the acuity of stress associated with back rent, and we recognize the acuity of stress as it relates to gas, water, and electric bills. And we think it's really important to send a powerful message today about the importance of being able
I wonder if they'll allow
to
a real
find
question.
relief
I
and
wonder if
access
they'll allow a
these
real
critical
question.
funds so we can keep people housed, we can keep people warm, safe, and make sure that they're getting the kind of resources that they deserve during this very challenging period of time.
American
We'll be
death
hearing,
trip. That's because
other
every
announcements
question here is fed to
today,
him. Every
later this
question's
afternoon,
fed. This is not.
tomorrow.
He's not answering anything
Wednesday,
that he wasn't
Thursday,
expecting. Come on
and
now.
May revise will be formally presented for consideration in the legislature on Friday.
Hey, Governor, it's Ben Christopher from Cal Matters. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks to everyone for taking the time to do this. I'm going to copy Jeremy and do a two-parter. First, just
This is what is known in legal terms, collusion.
No comment on that. So the first round of stimulus checks, we saw a number of people, a large population of people who were eligible but maybe didn't receive that benefit. So I'm wondering what you learned from that process the first time around that you're going to incorporate into this one to make sure that as many people as possible who are eligible are getting that relief. And then the second question is just about the GAN limit. Is that what is guiding this allocation?
Come on, ask a real question.
And if so, is there any, are you allowed to sort of target that the allocation, or does it have to be per capita equally?
Yeah, we talked about the GAN limit in January and the budget presentation. It's likely we'll hit the GAN limit for only the second time since 1979. And that will be determined over the course of the next year plus, what exact amount of dollars will be needed to set aside. 99.9% of you have no idea what the GAN limit is. Suffice it to say, it triggers when there's a windfall of revenue, a requirement that roughly half money that is stipulated in that requirement go to K-12 education under our Prop 98 formula, and another half go back in some form of direct support to the taxpayers. This is above and beyond the statutory requirement. This is not the reason we're moving forward with this announcement. We're building on the announcement
Come on.
months ago.
Real question. Come on.
What did we learn? We learned that those just filing EITC, those
Not gonna
earning up to
happen.
$30,000, while that was important, it's also important to recognize that we needed to provide direct relief for people in the middle class, people earning up to $75,000. And that's why we're announcing and enhancing the available funds for those individuals. And again, that represents 78, almost 80% of all tax filers in the state of California. The middle class have been hurt hard by this pandemic. They've been squeezed across the spectrum. Working moms, in particular, women notably, have been disproportionately impacted in this pandemic, and that's why we are building on what we did in January, providing additional $500 to support families with children. So the eligibility is now north of $1,100, or roughly $1,100, not just the $600 check. That's an additional $500. And we recognize the importance of continuing to make sure we're there for all Californians, because at the end of the day, one thing we know, it was referenced by the comments.
Yeah, so Karen, there you go, right? Like, there's the
group.
answer. So California is getting all this money from the federal government that they now have a surplus with. They're going to spend it on all this nonsense to basically redistribute the wealth and just keep people addicted to that free money. There's your answer right there. Very easy to understand when you have common sense.
Documentation, and they were left out of the federal supports. They will not be left out of the support coming from the state.
Sorry about that. Let's see if there's a real question. If not, we're going to talk on our own.
Hi, Governor. Alexi Costa from the San Francisco Chronicle. I'm going to make this a trend and also ask a two-part question. The first would be, could you clarify, there's a lot of different pots of money. Could you clarify a little bit about what is going to be paying for these different proposals that you have announced today? And then the second would be that, this is a kickoff for, it sounds like, a week of events that you're going to be doing to promote this budget that you don't plan to fully announce until Friday. Is this a campaign strategy as you're facing this recall election to get as much
not a bad question
as possible?
Not a bad question
about these overflowing budget numbers.
I'm really proud of California's resilience. I'm incredibly proud of California's remarkable capacity not only to come back but to come roaring back. I was also proud to now have had the opportunity, this is my third budget, to do what I did last year and do what I did the year before, and that's preview and highlight critical investments in the budget. This is something that I've looked forward to do, something we did in January, something we did last year in January and in the May revise and the year prior. And so that is an important part of a budget process. It's one of the reasons, and I was very proud and very grateful to review in detail the work that the Senate did and the Assembly did with their blueprint. And they previewed their priorities.
Let's see if he actually answers the question about the recall. I doubt it. I doubt it.
Well, and so
but let's see it.
That's why we're here. On the issue of the resources, it is true, $75.7 billion is general fund surplus. You have a portion of that will go to K through 14 education under Prop 98. A portion of that will be set aside under Prop 2 to pay down long-term obligations, unfunded health care, as well as pension obligations. We'll increase our...
Hey, Karen, let's put this up real quick. When is he out of office? Recall election, probably like November of this year.
If you're following me, I'm impressed, but 38.1 will be set aside for programs like those I just announced. There's an additional $26.6 billion. That's why it's over $100 billion comeback plan that comes from the federal government. Those have stipulated requirements.
Keep being afraid.
Those requirements
Keep being
include
afraid.
the inability to do what perhaps not perhaps, likely the inability to do what we just announced.
Anthony, you never know, man. He may send you some here.
Direct tax
he wants
rebate
to buy the
does
vote.
not come out, to your question, of the $26.6 billion federal stimulus. This direct tax
yeah,
rebate,
Christine,
the
that's right.
largest
There's no
in
real
U.S.
reporters
history,
there.
not just California.
They're not asking them any
history
real
year
questions.
over year will come out of the operating reserve.
It's all. I
rather,
think it's all
excuse me,
scripted.
the operating
Thinking
surplus,
impaired. I
if
think it's all
approved
scripted.
by the legislature.
Hi,
Come
good
on.
morning, Governor.
Didn't address the recall there.
News.
Notice
Do you have
that?
a rough estimate as to how much money California tenants owe to their landlords during the pandemic? And my other question is, will cities and counties be allowed to set their own eviction moratoriums? Will it change from county to county, city to city?
Yeah, so we have a statewide overlay, and we have language as it relates to the authority for local government. That's due to expire in a number of months. We'll work with the legislature through a very deliberative process, similar to the two processes that we advanced prior to make any subsequent terminations on the basis of your question. As it relates to these broader issues, and forgive me, the first part of your question was specific to the rent. That issue, interestingly, there are a number of different studies that have come out with estimates. Some on the low end, well below the $2.6 billion, some on the high end, north of the 5.2 that we just put out. So the answer to the question is there is no readily reliable information that we can determine with some confidence what that universe looks like.
Julius, he's not going to give a straightforward
We're
answer to
increasing
anything,
the total numbers
let alone
on
the
higher
landlord
end,
question.
just to make sure we're covering the worst case scenario. And we believe roughly within margin that 5.2 should do it. That said, the take up on the first 2.6 billion has been a little slower than some had anticipated, which may preview that the universe may not indeed be as large as that high end number. So we just are in abundance of.
Sean, yeah, let me put this up. Sean, I do think the California excess is going to accelerate. When you look at the chart, the last 4 years, the population growth has been declining. I'll show you the chart in a second, and so I think it's just going to get worse.
News Radio. Thanks for taking my question. Trying to get people back to work would also be aided by reducing the restrictions that have been imposed because of the pandemic. You set the target for June 15th for the dissolution of the tier system. Are we still on track for that? And if so, would it happen any earlier?
Stop asking about the pandemic. Give them a real question.
As long as we continue to keep this vaccination rate going, 300.
Okay, so Karen, yep, he's just trying to buy the vote, right? So like, people have a short memory. The recall election is not going to be till November. I talked about this the other day, right? So let me just show you guys something. The recall election is not going to happen till November. People have a short memory. He wants to be remembered as the guy who handed out all this free money, not the guy who locked everyone up and closed schools and all this other stuff. So that's what this comes down to. Gotta say, pretty smart strategy. If I were the governor and I was under fire, I'd probably do the same thing. Let's give some free money out.
Not just episodic, but a number of weeks. That stabilization is very encouraging. As you know well, San Francisco was the first Bay Area city that moved into yellow tiered status, the least.
Yeah, Jade, he can't. So the way the recall is going to go is there's going to be two questions. The first question on the ballot is going to be, should Gavin get recalled? Yes or no? Second question, if he does get recalled, who should replace him? He is not a choice on the second question, right? So if you vote, whichever way you vote, you got to pick someone. And then if the vote is yes to recall over 50%, then whoever gets the most votes on the second one is the new governor. That's it, period.
That's it? Well, that was it. That's what happens when you have two-part questions.
Ridiculous. No one asked him about people leaving the state.
Mayor, once a mayor.
Ridiculous.
A mayor. Thank the mayor, Mayor Schaaf, for all her incredible leadership and support and guidance as it relates to budget allocations. And trust me, she hasn't been shy about what she hopes to see in terms of investments here in Oakland, throughout the county. Again, it's humbling to be here with the two budget chairs who've been just incredible leaders.
So, guys, we're going to go away from Gavin because it's all scripted now. Guys, to me, that was unbelievable. Quick summary: if you just joined us, free money for everyone. Free money for everyone. If you live in California, 80% of people will get free money. We're going to assist everyone because of the pandemic, but you should still be scared because there's all these varietals of the pandemic, so you never know when it could hit again. Make sure you keep those 7 masks on. And so I'm just going to give out all this surplus that I have from wherever. We're not going to talk about where it came from. I'm not going to outline where it came from. We're going to give it all away. And we're not going to talk about the real stuff. We're not going to solve the real issues in California. And I'm also not going to talk about the fact that we lost a seat in the House of Representatives. We're going to lose Electoral College votes. And oops, sorry, that's my dog. That's what happens when you go live. And on top of that, the population is shrinking. Guys, I want to show you. So I showed this chart last time. I want to show you guys something interesting for those of you who didn't join me on the last. Almost spilled my coffee. Those of you who didn't join me on the last live, I want to show you guys something interesting. So here's the population chart. There were a few questions on this, and I just want to show this to you guys. But first, yes, Gavin's Buy Your Vote campaign 2021. I love that. That really is what's going on here, right? I mean, unless you are oblivious, that is what's going on. So I want to show you guys this chart real quick. Those of you on the last live stream saw this. This is the California annual population change over the last 10 years, right? So check this out, you guys. I just want you guys to see this. Hovering around $300,000 net increase, $300,000 person net increase, which then started to decrease, 244,000, 188,000, 99,000 net gain, and then 147. So basically, nothing happened. And then here we go. Whoops, my screen locked up. 2020 minus 100. I think it was 180,000 or something like that. This says minus 69, but I thought it was 180,000. Anyhow, net population drop. How no one could ask him about this at a press conference is like criminal to me. How could you be or call yourself a reporter and not ask this question? I mean, that is absurd. Population is decreasing, people are leaving, taxes are too high, too much regulation, and yet, of course, you know, Newsom comes out and rolls out this plan to give out all of this free money. And so when you give away free money, people are now excited. So I wanted to show you guys that chart. So guys, you know, craziness all around. I knew what was coming. I knew that's what we were going to get. We're getting the, like you said here, the Newsom, what'd you call it? This was really good. The Newsom Buy Your Vote campaign 2021. We're going to give out a lot of free money. We're going to hope you forget all about the year where we made your kids stay home, where we closed businesses, where we scared the crap out of you for almost no reason, and all of this other stuff. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening, you guys. I want to thank you so much for being on the live stream today. Really, really appreciate it, especially on short notice. Got a cool video coming out later today. I might cover this topic, might talk about what Gavin just did. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys, if you're not, you know, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. Also, I got a second YouTube channel all about real estate. So if you're into real estate, that one's real estate only. It's called Real Estate Simplified. You can check that out. And we got a couple awesome comments here at the end. People are, yeah, call me suspicious of his motives, but his actions deserve my suspicions. That's right, for sure. So, guys, thanks for tuning into that. I'm going to steal this from you, Thinking Impaired. I'm going to steal this, and we're going to call this the Gavin's Buy Your Vote campaign 2021. Thanks for tuning into that. Everyone have an awesome Monday, great week. And check out the video coming out later. Thank you guys all for being on. I appreciate all the comments. Love interacting with you guys. This is so much fun. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for being here, guys. Take care.